Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and yes, I am back. I am back with a car boots pickups video. I took a trip up to Chelford this morning. My mother keep asking me where I could take her somewhere she could get some bedding plants from, and I thought that's a perfect place because you get some of like the small nurseries and things will usually show up there and have a stall and basically selling off what they can't sell in the main nurseries cheaply. So we took a trip up there. It's around about 30 miles or so away from where I live, and unfortunately she didn't find any bedding plants she wanted, but I picked some interesting bits and bats up while we was there. So I've got I've got a bag of goodies here. I'll get the camera set back up and we can go through this. We've got quite an interesting mixed lot in here. I've got some records I picked up, some modern junk that I've got for just some bits off, various bits of vintage tech as well. So like I said, we'll get the camera set up and we'll have a look what I've got. So back in a sec. Right, okay, that's better. We can see the workbench, and let's get the first thing out of the bag. Now, I'll pick this up. It's an old iPad 2. Now, believe it or not, I actually still have an iPad 2. And I do still use it on occasions, mainly for the fact it's quite a large memory. I think it's a 64 gig one. And it's absolutely ram-packed full of music, and it's just handy every time, every now and again when I'm doing stuff and I just want a lot of music just to be able to play in the background. I can just set it up and leave it on playing. I picked this up literally for this stand that it's got on it. Basically, it's got this obviously it doesn't work, but it's got this really nice like magnetic stand, which I just thought was quite handy. Basically you can set it in various different positions and it holds the thing. Also it snaps over, it's magnetic and protects the screen. I believe I'll just be able to get a like a Stanley blade or something down there and loosen the glue off, get that off, put some new adhesive on there and stick it onto my iPad. Like I said, I haven't got a screen protector or anything on my one, and I do take it out places occasionally. Like I said, I do use it just for playing, music in the background and stuff. So this would be a handy thing just to protect the screen on it. And like I said, when I'm using it, I can actually. I did figure out how all the different positions, because it will hold the screen in quite a few different positions actually. But anyway, that was a quid. And as well as like I said, what I actually wanted off it, there's other parts I can use off it. The screen's not broken, the front glass is missing off it. I did try putting some power in it when I got it home, and it doesn't try and charge or power up or anything. It does seem pretty much dead. But like I said, the screen's not broken. I have seen a few people actually use these iPad screens with a little driver board and do things with them, and they are quite a nice, it's not widescreen or anything, it's not exactly 4:3, but it's not widescreen. I'm tempted to actually probably just keep the screen out of it as well and perhaps use that for a project in the future. I mean, it doesn't exactly take a lot of space up, does it? Like I said, a quid. It was worth a quid just to have, like I said, because I wanted that off it anyway, and so it's worth a quid just for bits and bats off it as well. So anyway, that's the first thing I picked up. What else have we got in here? Oh, I've got some records. Now, I do rather like blaster bass. I don't know if any of you have heard of blaster bass. I think Andy, if he's watching this, he's got a few blaster bass records. These are basically the spoken word, like after dinner. He was an after dinner speaker, basically, old blaster bass, and it's stories from his life. He was a RAF pilot, and I don't know what happened during the war. I think he got shot down or crashed or something, and he went from being an RAF pilot to going into demolitions, like working, you know, blowing bridges up and things like that. And then after the war, that's what he made his career of. He basically went round Britain and things, blowing stuff up. And like I say, he made quite a number of these records. I can't remember how many are in the full set, but one of these, that one, I do actually have, but my copy has got a dirty great big scratch right through it, and it doesn't play very well. So I'm hoping that that's a slightly better copy of it. That one I didn't actually have in my collection, so I believe now I actually do have all of the Blaster Bates albums that he produced, and they're hilarious. They're not exactly something for kids. Some of the humour in them would not be politically correct, shall we say, nowadays, but they are very, very, very funny. There's one in particular, one story he tells in particular, and I am pretty certain what he's actually describing in it is how Britain got rid of its massive stockpile of VX nerve gas. I'm sure the British government aren't aware or anything of this story that he actually put out on one of these, but basically one of Blaster Bates' albums, he does actually discuss doing a job for the British government where he is basically blowing up canisters of a rather nasty agent. He doesn't actually say VX, but if you listen to the story, basically I'm pretty certain that that's what he was dealing with. But anyway, so I got those. Those were £1 each, which absolutely fantastic. So like I said, I think I do now have the full set of Blaster Bates albums. Right, what have we got next? Oh, let's have a look at this, because this is a bit of a mystery item, because I'm actually not sure what it is. So we might actually do a tiny little bit of a teardown on this. And it's not a test meter or anything like that. It does look like, you know, kind of like old multimeter style case, but no, it's a bit of a mystery. I've got cable terminating in like a little, it's like a DC style jack, but I have seen these like used for audio and things like that as well. So we've got that. We've got, I don't know whether that's just an indicator or it's some kind of button that you know it lights when you press it. We've got another push button there, and it just says Synchro 15 transistor control on it. I don't know whether it's a piece of photography. It says switch on box by plugging jack into number 1 socket. Well, that's not going to work. Test box by holding black in after 5 secs. Red should flash when pressed. So I don't think this thing's going to work. I don't think the batteries are going to be Then it says test sync by holding black in after 5 seconds, red should flash, then shutter is raised. So this is something to do with photography. To test bulbs and leads, clear circuit by first pressing red after 5 seconds. This is some kind of photography timer or something like that. But I just thought it was an interesting thing. I'm thinking, well, what can I build into this interesting little project box? Let's do a quick teardown on this thing and see what's inside it. I haven't got a clue on date on it actually, and if we get inside it we might be able to put a date on it. These feel like they're going into wood, so I wonder if there's a wooden frame in here. I'm guessing 1960s, possibly 1970s, but we will see when we and actually thinking about it. Yeah, I wonder if this is a shutter timer, some kind of remote shutter timer or something like that, because that, looking at that now, I think that's what that might be. Or to trigger a flash or something like that. It does kind of look photography related. So probably more of a teardown item for useful little bits. There's some very, very nice chrome plated jacks on there. And this case is would be really cool to build something into actually. Like a little homebrew radio or something like that. Let's see if we can get inside this thing now. The screws are being a bit on the awkward side. Let's see if we can get that. That's one. 2, 3, damn, it's like pulling teeth. 4, there we go. Let's see what we've got inside here. There we go. Okay, so fortunately it doesn't look like anyone's left a battery in here to leak. We've got some snap terminals for a 9-volt battery, a big power transistor there, and a great big capacitor there. Now I wonder if we've got a date we can get. November 62 on that capacitor down there. So yeah, early 1960s. We've got December 62 on that big capacitor there, 70 volts, 500 UF. So really, I mean, it's just something to strip down for parts. There's some lovely tag strips in here. The capacitors are probably not going to be much cut, but we've got a nice big power transistor there. Even these snap leads are kind of handy. Some really nice jack, 1/4-inch jack connectors there. Nice push switch. Nice indicator there. Yeah, it's basically something, and like I said, this case is just nice. In fact, I have got some ideas for that, for a piece of test equipment. I'm not going to screw it together completely because I'll probably be tearing this thing apart. But there's loads and loads of useful parts on that, even if I don't really want, because I don't think this is of any great use to like a photography enthusiast or anything like that. I mean, shit, stick something down in the comments if you think I'm wrong, but I think that is a really cool case to build something into, especially like I say, it's a proper nice leather case. So either a little homebrew radio or a piece of test equipment or something like that. I think I'm going to use that for. Especially because it's a nice shoulder strap on it and everything. But anyway, yeah, that was £2. So I think that was worth £2 even if it was just for the nice case, plus all the useful parts I can pillage out of that. Right, let's get on to the next. And I'm sure some people will sigh and think, oh no, not another one. Don't worry, it's not a record player. Ooh, what I have got, yeah, we've got another radio. And this is quite a nice one. We've got an Echo. And this, believe it or not, really, this is a radio alarm clock. So we've got a, obviously, probably a Smith's. I'm guessing it's probably a Smith's movement. Most of them were. Sadly, it is missing one control which should go on there, which I believe, I think I've actually got one on a scrap set that would fit that. But yeah, we've got a nice there, and then we've got an AM, FM, not sorry, an AF, a medium wave, long wave, AM only radio there. Now the chap that I bought this off tells me it definitely works. He's plugged it in and it works. However, the dial string is broken on it, so you can't tune it. Now, being that it has already been plugged in, I probably will risk us trying it again, but we will have a quick look over it first, just to make sure there's nothing completely nasty before we do try it. I would have normally walked past this, apart from the fact the cabinet, it's the white, it's people call it white bakelite. It's not, it's urea formaldehyde. It's a very similar kind of plastic to bakelite, but it's not actually bakelite. Most times you see this, they will be cracked, either physically cracked because it's been dropped, or heat cracked because of the heat from like the dropper resistors and the valves inside actually damage the plastic over time. I have a number of sets. I have some cream Bush DAC 90s, and all of those where the dropper resistor and the output and the rectifier valve, they're all very badly yellowed and cracked on the top of the case there. This amazing, like I said, that's just a bit of muck and dirt there. There is no yellowing really or cracking on the case. This is just paint and muck and stuff. All that would really clean off quite nicely, and it will clean up and actually look quite a nice set, you know, for a late 50s, early 60s. I guess this is late 50s, early 60s, just by the style of it. We'll look around the back. We do have a bit of degradation to the back here. Also should have a control there, which is broken off. What is really nice about this set, and like I said, one of the other reasons that I picked this up, because this is unusual, it's got this appliance socket on it. And basically what that is for is you can use this radio to switch another device on. Mainly it would probably use to be something like a kettle for a tea's made or something like that. Other reason why it has quite a thick 3-core mains cable. AC mains only. Now I don't know whether this thing's going to have a mains transformer in it, or it's going to be AC DC. We'll find out in a minute. I'm hoping it actually has a mains transformer inside it. What we'll do first, that's a real shame. I thought we had a really nice original Bakelite plug there, but unfortunately it's got a great big piece smashed out of it there. That would not be safe to keep on the radio, so that will have to go. So a quick look how it's been wired. And this is one thing you've got to be careful with car boot sales. Yeah, I mean, this is potentially lethal, this plug. I'll get you zoomed in so you can see this a little bit better. Right, there we go. Like I said, the plug doesn't look particularly bad until we see there's a little piece broken out there. You can touch like that. You can actually touch that terminal that you can see in there. Now you look, oh, it's the earth, it's fine. Look, I can see there's a terminal there, there's the earth pin, it's fine. Yeah? There it is. Right on your fuse. You touch that. And that 13 amp fuse isn't going to blow for you touching that, but you're going to get a nasty shock. Apart from that, like I said, it's a shame, because otherwise that's a really, really nice plug. I do like vintage plugs. I would never keep a vintage plug on a set I was selling to somebody, but for sets in my own personal collection, I do like vintage plugs. That's an original. It's actually got an original Ashley. It's an Ashley branded plug, and it actually got an original Ashley branded 13 amp. So that's actually, yeah, it would have a 13 amp. Oh, and that's interesting as well. That's very, very, very interesting. We've seen the colour code in this. Red, which is our live. Black, which is our neutral. We've got a blue. Now, is that just that the green is the colouring and the green's changed over the years, but we've got a blue wire there, which is a neutral colour, but for the earth. So I'm just wondering whether just over years that the pigments failed in it and it's actually gone blue, or for some bizarre reason they've got a blue earth wire. Which, I mean, Echo is a British company, so that's odd. That is very, very odd. But yeah, that's normally when you saw a 13 amp fuse like that, you'd think that, you know, that's wrong. That's actually original that was supplied with this, because as I mentioned before, oops, let's get you out a bit. This can switch an appliance, so this cable and everything is designed that you can pull 13 amps on it. I am hoping there's a fuse inside the actual radio to protect the radio. But we will shut that back up. Like I said, that will have to, well, I doubt I'll be selling this. This is probably one for my collection, to be honest. But, excuse me, either way, you know, that'll stay on for testing, but that's as far as it'll go. That'll have to be removed because that plug is not safe. Let's whip the back off. The back does have some damage on it, but that is repairable. Because it's all there, it's just cracked. That I can repair. Let me flip it like that. Can you see a little bit better then, can't you? I keep forgetting my camera isn't exactly directly overhead, it's kind of like a little bit behind me. We've got all but one of the original fixings, which is quite nice. External loudspeaker. We've got our aerial and our earth there. Right, let's see what this thing's got inside it. We'll get that very gently off there. But that is actually quite repairable. That's fairly easy to fix that. Now let's see what we've got inside here. Oh, nasty, 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 nasty. This is an AC/DC set. We've got the U series valves and we have a dropper resistor there. I'm actually quite surprised it hasn't done any damage to the case, but we do have this big metal heat shield here preventing that. Cannot see a big pile of asbestos around that, which a lot of these sets I've seen. They have a shield around here. They sometimes have an asbestos sheet inside them, which you have got to be kind of careful to get rid of. This doesn't appear to have. What I will not be doing, which I would have possibly done if it had been working, is have a little twiddle with my finger and see if I could have tuned another station in. I won't be sticking my finger in an AC/DC set. Well, it's actually on. A quick look underneath. We've got some Hunt's mould seal capacitors in there, lots of Hunt's mould seal capacitors, which are not the best. They do have a tendency to short circuit and go very, very, very leaky. But I am sort of tempted to see whether the guy was telling me the truth and this thing has got some life in it. Can we turn the selector there? Oh yeah, oh yeah. And turn the clock selector. Right. Let me see if I've got my safety lamp, and we will have a quick look at powering this thing up. Just on a dim bulb tester. I'm not going to just give this thing the straight mains. So back in a sec. Right, okay, we're back, and we've got the lamp limiter here. So we will. Seeing this plug is pretty dangerous, we'll get that plugged in before we do anything else. I mean, I could cut that off and just use my safe block, but I have worked around this stuff for a very, very long time. I do know the safety risks, and what I will be doing is plugging that in there, like that. Put the lamp in, and then plug that in. I'll be very, very careful not to touch that while I'm switching that on. We'll then have the lamp is already in series, so let's switch on and we'll see what happens. Well, the clock started running. I can see the actual clock is ticking. I don't know if you can make that out. Well, the clock's running. So we're getting anything out of the radio. Let's have a look in the back. We've not got any valves glowing yet, but I'm not sure what that needs to be set to. Let's try. Oops. There we go. And we should see once. Basically, if the radio starts coming on, we'll know pretty much, because we'll see that lamp starting to glow up. So we've not got anything there. Let's try the next setting. Anything starting to glow in the back? No signs of life. But the clock is running. This might need a fair bit of work to actually get into a working set again, but I still think it's quite cool. Don't get any signs of life. Nope, like I said, the bulb is staying. Staying stone cold. Nope. We're not going to play with it too much in this video. Like this isn't really going to be a repair video or anything. I was just curious to see if it had any signs of life at all. So we've got a working clock. Actually, to be totally honest, if I can't do anything with this radio, I actually need a motor winding out of one of these. If it is a Smith's Movement, I actually need a motor winding out of a Smith's Movement to get one of my other clocks, one that I particularly want to have working again. It's one I've had working in my living room for many years, and unfortunately the winding eventually failed in it, and it's like the wire is as thin as a human hair. It's not something I really particularly fancy trying to rewind. So if I could salvage the mechanism out of the coil out of the clock mechanism there, it would be worth what I paid for this radio. So yeah, that's the next thing I actually what did I think I paid £6 for that. Obviously usually a little bit more than I'd normally pay for one, but I did quite like the fact that it has the clock on it, and I do kind of like the style of it and the fact that it's not broken. I actually, thinking about it, I might even have a scrap one of these. I'm pretty certain I've got a control that would fit that, but I think somewhere I've got a scrap one of these that hasn't got the clock in it. The clock was missing out of it, so I might have enough parts to make one really nice ones, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what we can do with that. But anyway, let's get on to the final thing that I picked up at Chelford this morning. Let's get that out of the way for now. And I found a little bit of vintage computing tech out in the wild. Now I did have to stump up for it, slightly more than I would normally stump up, but these things are getting harder and rarer, and you don't see them out in the wild anymore. But I thought it was something cool we could have a look at and a play with, and that is this. Now these were back when I was at school, which is quite some time ago. I think these are pretty much just come out because there was a few people in my school had them that had like learning disabilities, dyslexia and stuff like that. Believe it or not, I'm actually severely dyslexic, but it wasn't discovered until I'd actually left high school and was at university, and I already had a laptop by then and what have you. But yeah, they managed to miss me. They've picked everyone else up that seemed to have dyslexia, but they managed to miss me, even though apparently I am quite severely dyslexic. Right, yeah, what we've got here, remember, this is in the days when laptops cost thousands of pounds. What if you couldn't afford that, but you needed the basic word processing functions of a laptop and basic computing functions? Amstrad came to your answer. This is the little Amstrad notebook. I've actually got a really nice little LCD screen. I think this is actually the second generation of these. I'm pretty certain that the first generation of them, the screen was actually flat like that. They were a bit more like the Sinclair, or was it Sinclair that brought them out? It was certainly Sir Clive that was behind them. A little laptop type computer with a little flat, I think it was like 2 or 3 line display there. I can't remember what the name of them was, but some of the kids had them, and then I think like the next year or something, I think these had come out, and so all of a sudden everyone had these. Like I say, but I think it was a slightly earlier version that just had a much bigger flat LCD than the earlier, like I said, ones that Sir Clive had something to do with. I cannot remember the name of that computer, and it's going to really annoy me now. But this is the Amstrad Notebook NC200, like I said, which I think was a slightly later version of it. But basically we've got a spreadsheet, diary, calculator, word processor. Very simple to operate, function, hit what you want, it runs. Actually not got a bad feeling little keyboard on it, and unlike, like I said, the other one, was it a 080? I cannot remember what that other one was called. It's really starting to annoy me now. But the only way you could get stuff off it, it had an internal backed up memory, was with like an RS-232 cable and plug it into another computer, or just plug it into a printer and print your stuff off. This has a disk drive. I've also just seen there, it also has a memory card. I wonder if that's PCI MCI. You know which one I'm talking about, that big credit card one. PCI MCA, that's it. I wonder if it is, or it's some proprietary thing. But yeah, it actually looks in really quite nice condition, this. Again, Amstrad model note NC200. I wonder if it was the NC100 that everyone seemed to have at school. Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. It's actually really clean in there. And it uses C cells. We need 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 5 C cells. That might be tricky. I don't think I've got 5 C cells here. What other options have we got for powering this thing? External input voltage. We need 7.5 volts at 1 amp. Again, I don't have that just floating around. I'm going to have to dig something out for that. I can have some form of expansion on the back. So I'm not 100% familiar with these things. In fact, like I say, I haven't really even thought about or heard, you know, much about these things since the 90s when I used to encounter, like, when they first come out. I think you used to be able to buy them in Tandy. I think Tandy used to be one of the sellers for these things. But anyway, yeah, we've got a serial output there in parallel, so I'm not sure whether there's some kind of serial link you can do to a PC. I'm guessing parallel so you can plug it straight into a printer. I mean, that might just be for a printer as well. I'm really going to have to do some research on this thing. But this is like the first interesting piece of retro tech, you know, I've found at a car boot sale for some time. It'll certainly make an interesting video on its own. It'll certainly make an interesting will it work video. Seem to have a contrast control for the screen there, basic power on there. As I say, apart from the fact it's dead flat and there doesn't seem to be any, no there isn't, there's no like little stand-ups to make it, you know, stand better like that. It is really, really flat. The keyboard actually feels quite nice. So yeah, you'll be seeing this in an upcoming video. Oh, I had to fork out for it. That actually cost me £10. But when's the last time you saw a nice piece of interesting vintage tech like that out in the wild rather than on eBay and something like that? And I know for a fact stuff like this, you know, they want silly money for it on eBay, more than I'm prepared to pay anyway. £10 is about as much as I will pay for something like this, which is just for a bit of fun. It would be nice to see if we can get it up and running and perhaps doing a few things. Might actually be a handy thing to keep about, just as a basic word processor actually. No one's going to snoop on anything you write on this. No one's going to be able to read it. Right, anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Hope you enjoyed this little, like I said, show and tell of what I picked up at the car boot sale. Hopefully normal videos will resume fairly soon. I'm planning on doing a quick garden update video actually, because I've been doing a hell of a lot of work in the back. Part of the reason why I overdid it, to be totally honest. So look out for a garden update video if you are into, you know, watching me do what I do in my garden. And hopefully there will be some more electronics videos coming up fairly soon, because I've got some test equipment I want to have a look at, and a few other bits and bats I want to start playing with. So they all should be coming up as soon as I feel willing and able. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this quick video. Thanks for watching and goodbye.